Good morning, students. Good morning to all. And last day we have studied about the elements of contract, and because of that, some of the characteristics and what are the needs of the elements of contracts also we have studied. So today, just we will go to the next chapter. Then today we will go to the next concept, the unit 9, and the chapter also 31. The discharge and the breach of a contract. So already we have studied the contract and the meaning of the contract. If any of the agreement is enforced by the law, that is considered as a contract. But all the contract will never continue still long. So if you are if you are come to an agreement, so one day that agreement or the contract must be discharged. So, in whatever ways are there to discharge and the breach of a contract. So, discharge of a contract implies the termination of a contractual relationship between the parties. So, already we have studied that two parties is must needed to come to an agreement. So, the agreement is also considered as a contractual relationship between the two parties. Then the discharge of your contract means the terminations of the contractual relationship, or the terminations of the contractual relationship is come to an end is considered as a discharge of contract. A contract is discharged if it is ceases to operate and when the rights and obligations created by it come to an end. But sometimes the other rights and obligations may arise as a result of discharge of the contract. These are independent of the original contract. Because of some other ways also the contract may come to an end. The modes of discharge of contract. The modes of discharge of contract. So what are the ways are there to discharge the contract? There are different modes of discharge of contract have been provided under the different sections of the Act. First one is the discharge by performance. On the basis of performance of the both parties, the agreement also may come to an end. The performance implies carrying out the obligations of the contract. For example, if both of the parties, the A and B, the both of the parties also carried out their obligations of the contract, so it automatically come to an end. So, for example, if two parties, one party is ready to or agreement to selling the car, and the B party is also accepting to receive that car and the paid means, so that agreement automatically come to an end. So after fulfilled the contract, the relationship of the two parties may come to an end. The performance must be completed according to the real intention of the agreement. Real intentions means, so the both of the persons have to the considerations. So have to the monetary benefit. So any of the persons have to leave the properties and another one of the persons have to get the monetary advantages. The performance must be done according to time and manner. It is prescribed. So performance of contract may be of two types, namely actual performance. Next one is attempted performance. So actual performance means if the persons are completed their contractual or the obligations, this is called actual performance. So attempted performance means if the persons are trying to fulfill the obligations but still not completed, means it is considered as a attempted performance. Next one of the mode of discharge of contract is by agreement on consent. Agreement between the parties come to an end by mutually agreeing for it. Any contract is created by an agreement, hence in the same way it can be discharged by an agreement. So how we are made one of the agreement to fulfill any of the task, and sometimes the both of the persons also will get back from fulfill the task, and in this time if they are thinking, so there is no need to fulfill, or they can terminate the contract, mean both of them also come to an end. So in this connection the rule of law is follows: the udem mode quas, so the both of the persons may or may not be get the monetary benefit. The meaning of this: a thing may be destroyed in the same manner in which it is constituted. In which manner or in which way or for what purpose the agreement is made, that agreement is also may be constituted on the same way. The consent may be of following type. First one is express. The express consent may be given at the time of formations of the contract or subsequent to its formations. The time of formation of the contract, what or how they expressed the agreement, on the basis of expressed agreement, so it will come to an end. Next, implied. The contracts are also discharged by implied consent. The different mode of discharge by implied consent are mentioned below. First one is novations, and the recessions or the satisfactions or the mergers. Suppose sometime on the basis of the agreement, the properties or any of the vehicles may be altered or remised or satisfied or merged. Next, by impossibility of performance. A contract may be discharged if its performance becomes impossible. The rule of impossibility of performance is based on some of the points. That is, the law does not recognize what is impossible. Suppose if the law is expressed or the law is has considered, the law may be clearly defined. So what is the impossible matters? So on the basis of the impossible matters, if the two persons are considering, if they are realizing it is impossible, so it may come to an end. Next, what is impossible does not create an obligations. So according to the section 46 of the Act, all the acts to do impossible acts are void. So there are two types of impossibility of performance, such as impossibility existing at the time of agreements. So when we are made the agreements to do some task, if the impossibility situation is existing, so it is not come to an end. Next, the impossibility arising subsequent to the formation of contract. So when we are format the contract, some of the impossibility things may be arised. So when the performance is going to on the way. So likewise, impossibility arising subsequent to the formation of a contract or supervening impossibility may be by some event beyond the control of the parties, by some act either of the promisor or of the promisee. Next, by lapse of time. So because of the lapse of time also, the agreement may come to an end. So according to the Limitations Act 1963, a contract must be performed within a specified time. So in this time of making the agreement, the particular time may be mentioned. So within the mentioned time, so the agreement may come to an end. So if it is not performed within the specified time limit, and against which if no action is taken by the promisee in the court of law within the specified times, then the promisee is deprived of the remedy of law. In such cases, the contract is discharged. So the promisor or a promisee, So among these two parties, if any one of these is not fulfilled their promise, so any one of them may lose their parties. Next, by operation of law. Your contract can be discharged by the operation of law. The operation of law by which contract can be discharged are as follows. First one is by death. If the contract depends on the personal skill or ability, then such contract may be discharged on the death of the promisor. Sometimes, for example, the agreement may be made on the basis of the skill or the ability of the promisers. So, in this case, if the promiser is dead, so the promisee may come to an end. Next, by merger. So merger will take place when an inferior right accruing to the same party, either under the same or another contract. Next, by insolvency. So an insolvent is discharged from all abilities incurred prior to his adjudications. Suppose if the promisor or became as a insolvency by the way of such a case, so the contract may come to an end. Next, unauthorized alteration of the terms of contract. So, if one party makes any material alterations in the contract without the consent of the other party, then the other party can avoid the contract. So, for example, some of the building is built by some of the quality sand and the bricks. But if the promisor is not using the quality materials for the purpose of building the home or any of the building, so the promisee may come to an end. Next, rights and liabilities vesting in the same persons. So here the right and liability became vested in the same persons. The other parties are discharged. Next, remedies for breach of contract. The types of remedies. What are the types of there in this remedies means? There are various types of remedies for the injured parties listed as follows. First one is rescission of a contract. In case of breach of contract by one party, then the other parties may rescind the contract, and thereby the party is absolved from his all obligations under the contract. For example, the A promises B to supply him a motor car on 1st January 2020, and the B promises to pay for the motor car on 1st January 2020. So N is absolved from paying its price. Next, claim for specific performance. So under these remedies, in some specific cases, if the damages are not the adequate remedy, then the court can direct the party in breach for the specific performance of the contract. In such case, the promise is carried out as per the terms and conditions of the contract. So generally, some of the following cases the court grants specified performance. So when the act agreed to be done in such the compensation in money for its non-performance is not sufficient. Suppose some of the compensations is made by the money form of money, and if it is not sufficient, so we can claim from the court. Next, when it is probable that compensation in money cannot be received for the non-performance of the act agreed to be done. Next, when there is no standard for ascertaining the actual damage caused by the non-performance of the act agreed to be. So when they are being like that, on the other hand, the court does not grant specific performance in their following cases. First one is the damages are an adequate remedy. The contract is not certain. The contract is inequitable to either party. The contract is of revocable nature. The contract may be a company ultra vires of its memorandum of association. And even some of the cases, the court does not grant the specific performance. Next, claim for injunction. So, injunction is an order passed by a competent court restraining a person from doing some act. So, injunction can be defined as a mode of securing the specific performance of the negative terms of a contract. The negative terms of contract implies doing something. Next, the claim for quantum merit. The claim for quantum merit may arise if a contract performed by one party has become discharged by breach of the other party. So, in any ways, some of the cases, some of the remedies may be arised. Okay, students. So there is no need to explain more. So because we can go to the next chapter. So next chapter, chapter 32, the direct taxes. First, we have to know the meaning of tax. The tax is the compulsory payment of the government. The tax is the compulsory contribution to the state revenue by the government. It is levied on the income or profit from business of individuals and institutions. It may be added to the prices of goods, services, or the transactions. So, tax is the basic source of revenue to the government. So, even the government has many ways to earning the income. So, tax is the important and the first way to earning the income. Then the types of taxes. There are two types of taxes are there. First one is direct taxes and another one is indirect tax. So if a tax levied on the income or wealth of a person and is paid by that same persons directly to the government, it is called direct taxes. For example, income tax, wealth tax, and capital gains. Next, indirect taxes. If tax is levied on the goods or services of a person, is collected from the buyers and it is paid by the seller to the government, it is called indirect taxes. For example, the goods and service taxes. So the direct taxes mostly imposed on the income and the wealth, and the indirect taxes is imposed by the government on the commodities, goods and the service. Next, income tax. The income tax is a direct tax under which tax is calculated on the income, gains, or profits earned by a person, such as individuals and other artificial entities. The features of income tax. The income tax, one of the features is levied as per the constitutions. The income tax is levied in India by virtue of entry number 82 of list 1 of 7th schedule to the article 246 of the Constitution of India. Next, levied by the central government. So income tax is charged by the central government on all incomes other than agricultural income. However, the power to charge income tax on agricultural income has been vested with the state government. Next, direct tax. So income tax is a direct tax. It is because the liability to deposit and ultimate burden are on same person. The person earning income is liable to pay income tax out of his own pocket and cannot pass on the burden of tax to the another person. In these indirect taxes, so we can transferring the burden from one person to another of the persons. For example, the goods and services is produced by the producers and sold by the seller. But who is paid to the tax to the government mean? So it is burned by the consumers. But in this direct taxes is not like that. The direct taxes is have to paid on the same persons. Next, annual tax. So income tax is an annual tax because it is the income of a particular year which is chargeable of tax. Next, tax on person. So it is a tax on income earned by a person. The term person has been defined under the Income Tax Act. It includes individual, Hindu undivided family, or firm, or maybe company. Next, tax on income. So it is a tax on income. The income tax is a tax on income. The Income Tax Act has defined the term income and it includes salary income, house property income, business professionals income, capital gains, and other source of income. Next, the administered by the central government. So income tax is administered by the central government with the help of income tax department with the branches throughout the country. Next, applicability. So income tax is applicable throughout India, including the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, students, I think it's enough. If you have any doubt, please ask me.